let's continue our deep dive into who Tim Walz is. Joining me now is Rob Spiel, Associate Professor of Political Science at Penn State. Rob, thanks for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah, so let's start simple. So we basically just got a gist of his resume. Summing all that up, what's the first line summary on his cover letter to American voters now on who is Tim Walz?
As you reported, he's someone who grew up in rural Nebraska and had a moderate background, although he's become more progressive in his attitudes as governor of Minnesota.
Yeah, and we're looking at this newly assembled presidential ticket. Why is Governor Tim Walz a good choice for Vice President Harris to run with?
My guess is that she thought he was the most compatible with her when she met with the various candidates over the weekend. I think also that she believes he can appeal to Midwesterners, particularly not only Minnesota voters, but Wisconsin voters, which are right next door. And he's also a hunter and a gun owner, and I think the idea is that might alleviate perhaps some of the people who are not angry at Democrats for some of their views on gun issues.
So let's talk about that. Republicans have been reacting to the pick, trying to paint Walz as a far left progressive, and we saw in that story strict pandemic rules, tightening gun laws, strengthening abortion rights. Do you see this tactic as being helpful to the Harris campaign?
The Trump tactic. I mean, the Trump tactic. I don't know if it will succeed. I mean, yes, Walz has been in favor of a lot of progressive legislation. As governor of Minnesota, has signed a lot of laws that progressive Democrats like a lot. On the other hand, as a member of Congress, he was fairly moderate. He is a gun owner. He is a hunter. He grew up in rural Nebraska, and I think the idea of painting him as a West Coast radical is probably not going to work too well.
And just looking at a bigger picture of things, Tim Walz, former high school teacher turned governor to now vice presidential nominee. What are the biggest areas where Walz can help Vice President Harris shore up some votes?
I think he's going to be sent to campaign, mainly in the Midwest, Wisconsin and Michigan, two important states, but also in perhaps some of the rural and small town parts of America, including in Pennsylvania, that Hillary Clinton passed over in 2016 to the detriment of her campaign.
So we're going to see Vice President Kamala Harris and Governor Tim Walz for the first time together in Philadelphia in about 45 minutes. What are you going to be listening and watching for?
They're going to establish the themes of their campaign. Kamala Harris also this week officially received the Democratic Party nomination through a roll call vote of delegates, I think an online roll call vote. So, we're going to beginning to see the new theme of their campaigns as a team, what types of issues they hope to focus on. They'll be talking about what they want to achieve if they're elected in November, and also why they think the election of Donald Trump and J.D. Vance would be a very bad idea for America.
All right, Rob Spiel, thank you so much for being here for your time. Really appreciate it.
All right, thank you for having me.